Good evening, TC, and welcome all to our weekly podcast, Terry Currans, the Curran View with the Isle of Hillsborough, Mr. Terry Curran. And if you're listening to the free first half on either Acast or Spotify, you can follow the links on our socials and access the full podcast via either Apple or become a Patreon. All the w's.patreon.com/SRBmedia. You can follow the podcast on Twitter at Curran View, on Facebook, The Curran View, or join the group, which is over 3,000 members strong to date. Thank you so much for your support. It's greatly appreciated. Steady away. Are you still awake after watching England's first half?
No, because I don't get that depression a lot of fans do when the team wins or loses or wins. I've seen it with fans, I've seen it with players, so I expected it. So, you know, when I talk about England, I don't talk about wanting to criticise my country. I don't want to talk about criticising our coaches, because I want us to be the best.
Absolutely.
Not big-headed about it. I just want us to be the best. And I've just wrote a post. Foden is our best central midfield player, without any question of a doubt.
Even Grealish, yeah, I agree.
Right. Well, what I'm saying, Foden is our best. That would be my team. I'll go through bits of it. I won't go through it all because, you know, we've things to talk about.
Yeah.
Now, in the next 2 seasons, that's when he's going to play at Manchester City. So, you know, the really critics of or don't understand the game as such, they'll come back at, well, why did you play there for Manchester City? Because they've got top quality midfield players what play for their countries, right? And don't have really and have more experience what Jack's got. Jack will play there, right? Central midfield for Manchester City within the next 2 seasons. He will play there like David Silva did for Manchester City. Make no mistake, right? We've got Harry Kane. He's played there because he's a natural club goal scorer, right? And you're going to say, well, he scored all these goals for England. Do me a favour, all of you. Who's he played against? Because does he score against the top teams when we play them? If we play them?
Nope.
Right. And so don't be the critic. What I'm trying to say is
absolutely.
whether you have people like Rashford or not, for me, Rashford's got the ability. He's had 1 or 2 problems this last 2 seasons. You know, we don't know how it affects certain people, but obviously this COVID has not been a good thing for anyone. And you know me, I don't look for excuses, right? And he played. If you played him through the middle with his pace, or any one of the other guys, which the kid was doing well up at Newcastle, right?
I like him, Callum Wilson. Yeah,
we would cause the opposition more problems. But we have to have a player in midfield what can pass that ball with accuracy, what could open or play through the lines to split the defence up with accurate passing. We don't have that in Bellingham. We don't have that in Henderson. And we don't have that in Rice. If you lot think you're going to tell me that Declan Rice, right, is a £200 midfield player, well, the idiot managers will pay that 200 million quid.
Of course they will.
Right? Now, listen, Gerrard and Lampard were good players. Make no mistake about this. They're good players. Do you think they would have got in that Spanish team of Iniesta and Xavi?
No.
What's the difference?
Because Iniesta and
Technically,
Xavi...
ability, what can keep the ball,
absolutely.
can make little angles off the ball, can play with accuracy through the lines.
Yeah.
What helps to create space, not only for the people going forward with the ball, but for the people to get up and support, so there's not big gaps between the defence and the forward.
The only midfield player in recent times, English, that could have played in that midfield of Spain's Paul Scholes. Scholes could have, but the others couldn't, because they're not the same abilities.
Hang on, where did they play Scholes?
Well, they play.
Where did Capello play?
He plays him out on the left wing.
Him out left.
Exactly, because
the
English and as you say, Sven-Göran Eriksson wasn't English, but you know that's where Eriksson played him, and Scholes had enough and said, "I'm retiring from international football." But it's the English disease.
He won't come back for Capello, would he?
No, No, it was. I'm not too sure. I mean, when Capello took us to South Africa, didn't he? I'm not too sure if Scholesy was still. Well, he would have still been around in them days. Of
I
course, he
think
would.
he asked for him to go back.
Yeah, I'm sure he did, but he wouldn't. But this is the problem.
I'm going to give Jack the best advice he'll ever have. Better advice than Guardiola. And there'll be millions of people will laugh at this. Let me tell you, if I was Jack Grealish,
I'd retire.
I wouldn't retire.
Why would I tell him so?
This is what I would do if I were Jack Grealish. At some point, they're going to have to put him on. At some point.
Yeah.
They're going to have to put him on. I would set the world afire. Right? I'd get that ball and do what I do best at.
Absolutely.
Run with it.
Yeah.
Run with it. He's not playing for Manchester City. He's playing for England. That's what I would do.
Do you know what I would do if I was Jack Grealish? I'd play for myself.
That's what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
That's what he's got to do.
Myself.
That's what I'm just telling you.
And I'd be greedy.
Bollocks ball. This is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Right? And if it helps us win that World Cup, then I will express myself to the public what none of you know what goes off in the dressing room. None of you. I keep telling you all that.
No, you're absolutely spot on. I mean, Alan and myself, we've been saying it for a while about Jack. Jack's just got to be greedy and play for himself. Harry Kane came out, didn't he, and said, you know, the player I like to play with is Jack Grealish. He finds me. Anybody with half a football brain understands that Grealish is a central midfield player. He's not a winger. He can find players between the lines. He can take players on. He can make things happen. He's the most creative player. But unfortunately, we've got a prat who's an English manager, Southgate, and I've been calling for him to get the sack for years. The bloke's an idiot, and he's playing against Wales, who are absolutely shite. And he's got two holding midfield players in Bellingham, not creative enough, not exciting enough. England, it's the same disease.
I wrote about this the other day. What it does when you play square and sideways,
exactly.
Slowly, it gives the opposition time to set.
Of course it does. There's no tempo.
Right? It gives the opposition time to set. I played in the 70s up to the mid 80s.
Yeah.
Right? And if we were playing against, and I played with Jack Charlton, Cloughie, Doherty, McMahon, if we had to play what were coming towards our back four, our midfield players, centre forward, we'd say, let him do that. That's where we want him. We don't want him going in behind or getting in and around the box, not looking for free kicks, but looking to cause us problems, being able to turn. Where does Harry Kane go? He comes deeper and deeper.
Comes into our own half.
Manchester City. Because you've got that type of play, what keeps the ball. England don't have the players to keep the ball.
No,
and when I say keep the ball, it's not keep the ball slow sidewards. You know, it's having play with the tempo to look forward, turn out, getting behind.
Absolutely, so.
Watch it. And people think that you're just having to go at the manager. He picks the team.
Yeah. It's his philosophy. I didn't realise until I started doing the podcast with you and Alan how important. I knew it was important as a manager, but I didn't realise how important that philosophy is. And if I was a player, I'd be looking, I ain't playing for him, I ain't playing for him, I ain't playing for him. It's a waste of time. What he would want me to do isn't what I want to do. And we've said this about Jack. Jack, you've got to get on there. You've got to be greedy. You've got to play for yourself. And you've got to stick your two fingers up at Southgate because the bloke's an absolute clown. And England have not progressed. England cannot progress under this buffoon of a manager because
it's not just him. Last time when we had an English manager with Terry Venables.
Absolutely. 100%. The only decent manager in my lifetime.
Yes, we're at home, but Southgate has had the luck to get to two semi-finals. Well, it's two semi-finals and a final.
100%. 100%. He's had a free ride.
Football, none of them. Listen, Cloughie, none of you will ever know how brilliant he was. They had 5 world-class players or top-class players, right? Frank Clark wouldn't have got in any European Championship team. Kenny Bird would. Larry Lloyd probably would have as a younger Larry Lloyd at Liverpool.
Yeah, he's under 23s
right?
for England. That's yeah.
Right. I mean, look at Robbo. None of the English coaches or British coaches would have picked him because Clough used to call him the little fat man on left wing.
Yeah.
He'll destroy you. No, everybody else would have played him. I'm telling you, they would not have played him. The kid was at Forest. The guy who was at Forest, Brown, before Clough went there, was Alan Brown. He tried to put him in part exchange for Ronnie Glavin.
Yeah.
A part Thistle. Fact that.
Yeah. Yeah. Unbelievable too.
Incredible.
It is
it's
incredible.
So boring to watch. It's unreal.
It is absolutely. Magic moments too. What have you sourced for us this week? We'll have a little bit of a moan about the World Cup in a short while.
Magic moment games, but I've seen about 3 great games, mate. But the other day I watched Serbia and
Cameroon,
and there were 4 great goals in that game. Right, but I've got to go with the Brazilian, not because it was Brazilian, but the Richarlison goal.
Yeah.
An overhead kick, and absolutely sublime. There's not just the Brazilians who can do it because everything's coming to him right. When it comes into your right, you can do it, can't you? He's been able to flick it up and volley it in. But that's my magic moment.
With that Richarlison, I mean, I posted it up straight away. Wow. And then somebody did get back and say his first touch was bloody awful. But and then I said, yeah, but how delicious was the second touch? And I think I've watched it many times now. I don't know whether it was a bad first touch or whether he was setting himself to do that. But whatever way he approached it, it was a phenomenal strike, a wonderful goal.
You watched it. If you watch it
I've seen it hundreds of times now. I think it's fantastic.
What he's done is flicked it, and it looks as though he's like a bobble up.
Yeah.
Right? I'll give it to you. Is it that right? And it's landed. If you miss it it doesn't go into position for him to volley it. I guarantee you that.
Absolutely. Mbappe, I thought his brace the other night and the way that Mbappe has lit up the World Cup has been fantastic.
It's the one what's going to cause more problems to anyone, isn't he?
Oh, he just looks different class.
I mean, they all go on about pace, but you have to have
a brain.
You have to have the touch. Well, the thing about football, have you got the brain?
Yep.
Have you got the touch?
Yep.
Right. And have you got the composure on the ball? And he's got all them.
Absolutely.
But when you got that pace like he's got, to run with the ball at pace and keep control of the ball like he's got. Now, does he do it all the time? No. But it frightens people to death because they don't know where to close him or not.
That's the problem with him.
It's joy to watch him play. And when he's on his day, it's not impossible to stop because these ways and means to stop people. Right? It might not be dirty fouling, but it'd be body checking and that type of thing. But I'm like you, it's a joy to watch. He sets the game alight.
Yeah, it is absolutely fantastic. And the other magic moment for me, England have just scored. Great free kick by Rashford. Phil Foden actually run at the defence, which is what you was.
I've come into the bedroom to watch it, but I've turned it down, so I saw the run.
I've not got the sound on. I turn the sound down. I can't stand the commentators, and I don't like listening to these so-called pundits before, during, and after. I think they're all a bunch of idiots. So I just turn it all down and watch it for what it is. But Vincent Akabuka or whatever his name was, that goal for Cameroon against Serbia, the second goal, where he just the linesman had got the flag up. And he just dinks it over the goalkeeper. And I thought that is absolute nonchalance at its greatest. And what a goal. So 3 phenomenal magic moments. Book Corner TC in association with myfootballbooks.com. Andy always sends us a recommendation. His recommendation this week is First 11s by Andy Mitchell. And on this day, the 30th of November, 1872, it was the first ever international game between England and Scotland, and that book tells us all about that wonderful event. Now, the game the game grew, shall we say?
Goalkeeper should have saved that.
Yeah, at international level. And without that first international level game, we wouldn't be watching the World Cup. But it all 2-0. But it all started. That was a great ball across, and Foden got on the end of it. I mean, Wales are absolutely desperate, but well done, England. They've actually started going for it now. But the first 11 by Andy Mitchell, all about the first England versus Scotland game, the first international, 30th of November 1872. You don't remember that too, do you?
I played in it.
You could have played for both.
2-0.
Yeah, 2-0. It's game over now.
Foden.
Yeah, great. It was a fantastic ball across. I'm not sure who made the pass, but it was a great ball across. And like many goals, I mean, look at the way the Welsh are playing. Absolutely awful. It looked like it's Harry Kane. Yeah, Kane across and Foden. But how bad are the Welsh? They are a very, very poor side. First time for, I think, 64 years, and the way that they've been playing, I think it'll be the last time for another 64 years.
It's unbelievable.
Awful, just awful defending, awful play. But yeah, England versus Scotland, and I do believe next year they're playing a commemorative game, aren't they, of that first international game. And it would be nice to annually have that game back, England versus Scotland. I know we got the home internationals. We used to have the home internationals against the Welsh and against the Northern Ireland, but it was always the England and Scotland game that caught the eye, and two evenly matched sides, because I know there's not, a great number of people that are born in Scotland, as Wales and Northern Ireland as well. But Scotland have always had a culture of playing football, whereas Wales and arguably Northern Ireland or Ireland, Gaelic football and rugby. But Scotland's always been a fantastic football nation.
Sorry, Gabby. Just watching the free kick there. Sorry, guys. Go on, say that again.
No, just saying that the Scots have always had that pedigree of football, whereas the Welsh, it's always been really rugby, and Ireland, the Gaelic game.
Yeah, their game's been rugby.
Yeah.
The thing with Scotland, when you look at Scotland now, they have produced the Souness's, the Dalglish, the Jimmy Johnsons.
Yeah.
There's hundreds of top players Scotland produced over the years, but they've not produced it because our coaching's not been, the British coaching's been poor for years.
But again, these natural born talented player, it's like Jimmy Johnson, like Jim Baxter, like Dennis Law, like these fantastic players that Scotland produced in the 60s and the early 70s. That wasn't down to coaching. That was just down to natural raw ability, getting the football out, and playing football anywhere.
Managers that players playing those days.
Yeah, of course they did.
Now what they do, they work on the defence. I will say, if people like Manchester City, even though they win more games than not, it's still difficult for them because they get everybody behind the ball. I remember about 3 years ago, 4 years ago, something like that, when Huddersfield, right? I don't think they got away from the penalty area at their half when they were playing Manchester City, because all they would do, get the ball. Somebody were there, they would just boot it long. So they never came up to press Manchester City. So it is difficult to break down teams what's well compact and determined to not to concede areas what's going to cause them a problem. But eventually they get tired and the better teams go on to win the game. And so defensively wise, the better, because in my day, what they would do, they would kick. So people like George Best would get hacked down. Uddy would tell you it's not a different game, it's a different philosophy and how to play the game.
Absolutely, and if teams are going to sit deep like that, it's vital to get players that can run at players. Make something happen, draw a player out of position, and then make the play. If you're just going to be passing sideways and backwards, then nothing is going to happen when teams sit in that solid line, that back line, and just say, "Come and break us down." It's almost and that's what England versus Wales was tonight. That first half, it was like attack versus defence. But early doors, second half, Phil Foden got the ball, run at the line, got a free kick. England scored, opens the game up, and bang, it's
That's what
2-0. And
got
that's
to
what
do.
the game's all about.
That's what Jack's got to do. And so, right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go past people. Give me the ball, and that's what he's got to do. Because Southgate will not pick him. He will
No,
not pick him. Picking Henderson, he's going to pick a Bellingham. £100 million will make him the greatest player in the world, but £100 million for Jack. And we've got a 70, how old is it, Bellingham? 17-year-old pick before Jack.
Yeah. But Bellingham has got a fantastic PR company working for him. He's got an even better PR company than COVID. I just heard Gary Lineker. I was almost like laughing. And he was drawing a comparison between Jude Bellingham and Duncan Edwards. I've heard I can't listen anymore to these clowns talk football.
Did Gary Lineker see Duncan Edwards?
No, of course he never.
When? Lineker's younger than me, by the way. And I never saw Duncan Edwards.
Yeah.
Right? I was born in 55. And what it 58 or 56? When was it that plane crash?
58, 6th of February 1958.
Right. So 58 when Duncan Edwards died in a plane crash.
Yeah.
I was born in 55.
Most of us haven't seen Duncan Edwards play, but the ones that did pass it down and say what a great football player he was.
That's what we'll get now for the next throughout the tournament till England get knocked out.
Yeah.
Bellingham's the next Duncan Edwards.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the narrative now that they're going to drive. It's incredible. But somebody who could drive, Diego Maradona, The Boy, the Rebel, the God, by Guillaume Balaguer. I have got this book. It's a wonderful book. It's about Diego Maradona and what a player he was, wasn't he? Going back to that 1986 World Cup finals.
There's two players could make a ball do anything. Right? What I've seen these last few years, right? Which were Maradona and Ronaldinho.
Yeah.
George Best is the greatest player I've ever seen.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. It's only opinions, Diego Maradona and Ronaldinho could make the ball do anything. Right? Whereas Ronaldo and Messi, the statistics are absolute, and I love them both. I love to watch them both play. But they were the ones. There you go, Maradona. The brutal tackles he took was unreal.
Yes.
And to win the World Cup with Argentina, they weren't the greatest team. I think the '78 team was a better team altogether. And to pull Napoli to win the Italian, what is it? Scudetto.
Yes, Scudetto.
Scudetto.
Yeah, Scudetto.
Unbelievable. So it's what we met great players. How we met great players. I tell you, our midfield players. They're just box to box midfield players.
I've just turned England over. I'm watching America now. He's brought on Calvin Phillips.
And played all season.
Trent Alexander-Arnold and Callum Wilson.
I've got it on. In bedroom.
Yeah, so I've turned it over. I'm going to watch the American. The England game's dead now. Anyhow, it's 2-0. So I'm going to watch America and hope that they continue and can win this game, qualify. They'll then play on Saturday against Holland, and I think America can cause an upset against Holland. I've not seen anything from Holland that suggests they're a better team than America. America are very well coached under Anthony Hudson, and Alan Hudson and myself have been doing Alan Hudson's World Cup diary, and we're following the progresses of Team America. I like this young lad as well, Timothy Weah. What a player he is. His dad was Georgie.
I said the both of us said that England and America would qualify on this. Listen, don't underestimate. I want America to do well because I'm for America at the moment in time. We all know what's happening in America, and Woody and his lad. I'd like to see them progress as far as they can get. And like you said, there's one thing about the Americans. for effort and 100%. And by the way, they play some decent football, does America?
Yeah, good. Yeah,
The
got some good
Dutch
players.
are capable. The Dutch are capable of, as we've known for years. Total football. They are capable of producing that on a certain game.
Would you say though that this Dutch team is the worst Dutch team of your lifetime? Because I think it is the worst of mine.
What I would say about the Dutch team is, technically, they're really good from defence to forward. I don't think they've got anybody with Cruyff's initiative to create up front.
Yeah.
Or a Van Basten or a Van Nistelrooy. They haven't got any. They haven't got Van. They've got a decent team, I think, but they just haven't got anything up front.
Yeah.
That's my opinion of it.
Yeah. But I think it'd be a good game. America versus Holland. If it stays the way that it's going, England look as though we're going to qualify as top side, and America look as though they are going to qualify in second place. Therefore, England will play Senegal 7 o'clock on Sunday, and America will play Holland 3 o'clock on Saturday. So good luck, America. Good luck, Anthony Hudson. And Diego Maradona. I remember 1986. I mean, when you look at football players that have made a difference in World Cups, Diego almost single-handedly won the World Cup for Argentina, didn't he? Because I couldn't even tell you another Argentinian team player in that World Cup. Could you see?
No. I mean, the guy was just unbelievable. When you watch him just doing warm-ups for games, you'd pay just to watch that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you would do.
I mean, I'm looking at this. We're 2-0 up. What a great time to fetch Jack on in midfield.
He's a clown. So I've turned him off. I can't stand Southgate.
I don't want to get into all argument because I don't want to watch England. I want to watch him do. I'm watching it because I want to watch Foden turn on the magic.
Yeah.
But now would the time to put Jack in there into midfield and say, right, go and express yourself. I bet if Southgate said to him, go and express yourself, we'd see a different Jack Grealish.
You would do, but Southgate ain't never going to say that.
What you don't understand, Gabby, and I mean this, none of you understand it. You all talk about, in that dressing room, this is what you say. Clough used to say to me, go and play.
Yeah.
Jack would say to me, don't come out off wide. I want you to stay there.
Yeah.
People think that I didn't listen. It's a load of shit. I promise you all. I took it in. The problem was your brain's telling you something to do something.
Yeah.
And then the other little reaction you get in is what the manager tells you. And then you think, shall I do this? And once you clear your head and say, no, that's what I'm going to do. If I play, I'll play. If I don't play, but because you might as well play doing something, right, that you want to do, than play how a manager wants to do and not getting picked.
Absolutely. Tony Curry told me that his biggest regret of his career was doing what Reevy wanted him to do when he played his only game for Don Reevy. England beat Switzerland. I think it was 2-0. We beat Switzerland away. And he wanted him to work harder. He wanted more work rate. So Tony Curry did. He went into areas that he wouldn't necessarily go. He was disappointed with his game. He never played again. So you're better off doing your own thing. And if they don't want to pick you, then they don't want to pick you. But managers like that won't pick players. I mean, he nails his colours to the mast. He takes off Declan Rice and he puts on another holding midfield player in Calvin Phillips, and he comes all this crap about minutes and stuff and what have you, and red zones, amber zones, green zones. I just absolutely give up with the modern game, I really do. But Diego Maradona, and the goal that I loved in 1986 was the goal that he scored against Mexico. He scored a great goal against England, of course he did, but that goal he scored, I think it might have been quarterfinals or no semi-final, I think it was, against Belgium, when he scored and he was wheeling away, and anybody else, they would have fallen over, but his balance, it was almost as though he didn't want to fall over because it spoilt the goal, and it would have certainly spoilt his goal celebrations.
Yeah. He got the balance. When you got that type of balance, it's untrue, isn't it?
Absolutely. And again, the greatest player of my lifetime. Dr. Socrates by Adam Downey, another player that played at the highest level, captain of Brazil in 1982. Although they probably had two captains, mind you, they had a number of captains, didn't they? In 1982, they had the great Socrates Jr. who was there, Eder was there, arguably one of the greatest teams not to win the World Cup. But,
Zico were there.
Yeah, absolutely. But the doctor, and he was a doctor of philosophy, wasn't he, Socrates?
SRBMedia.